Right, you have to bear with me, I've got a bit of a dodgy throat at the moment, but we're in the garden. It is, what, 5th of March 2025. I've just been going around. It is currently 15 degrees or just over, quite late afternoon now. Absolutely fantastic weather. We had last 3 nights we've had a really light frost, got down to about -1, but that should be the last of it for the foreseeable. The next 2 weeks are looking sort of +3 upwards. So what I've done is I've just gone around and untied all the palms that were tied up. So we've got the Booty Aerospather here. This was tied up for the last 3 months. So just untied that. It's looking absolutely fantastic. Booty Odorata, again, tied up for the last 3 months. Looking faultless, still been pushing over winter. We can see this spear start to open, and we've got another one behind it starting to open. That's looking a little bit yellowy, but that's totally to be expected this time of year. It's trying to grow, and that is, you know, tied up so it didn't get much light, and also not warm enough to take up any nutrients. So even though it's trying to grow, it's just, you know, looking yellow, but that'll soon green up when it warms up properly over the next few weeks. The Booty Aerospather, we've untied that, and when it was tied up it looked really rough, but they were the older leaves, so we've got sort of discoloration, sort of mottly, frazzled ends, but the 3 leaves in the centre which were tied up, pretty much mint condition, so really happy with that. Once that kicks into growth fully, I'll probably just trim back any sort of brown bits on these. I won't cut off the leaf totally, but because there's still a lot of green further down, but just take off the brown tips just to neaten it up a bit. But yeah, that's looking really good as well. So yeah, all the palms are untied, so let's have a quick look at the other 2. Another Booty Odorata here. So this is the one where the centre spear was totally closed up, and as we can see over winter that's been opened up slightly, and we've untied that, and again faultless. The Booty Odorata at the bottom, I will say it did have slight damage from when I received it last year. So the brown, excuse me, the brown we're seeing here is from last winter when I received it early last year, so that damage was sustained then. That was like that before this winter. So apart from that, which is going to look ugly for a little while, it's looking really good. So that is the palms untied. Like I say, no frosts here on the east coast predicted anyway for at least the next 2 weeks, and if we do get a frost now, it's not going to be anything substantial or damaging. So let's have a look at some more of the really tender stuff. And when I say really tender, something that shouldn't still be green, but it is. The palm grass. So this is Soteria palmifolia, and I will say this was nearly at fence level, so it was sort of nearly 5 foot tall. So a lot, obviously the taller stuff, which is here, has just died back and gone brown, but more towards ground level you can still see there's a lot of green in there. That's the first winter I've had that where it's stayed green above ground. It normally dies back to the ground and then comes back again, but yeah, this year we've had -4 at the worst for a few nights, and we've still got some really good green growth on that, so that should bounce back real quick. Let's have a look at some of the Colocasias. So I'm standing right here. We've got 3 in a row. And this is what I do for all my colocasias in the ground. I just put a cloche over them. We've got 3 different types here. And I will say, some I know to be hardy because they've come back for me every year. And some I want to push my luck with. So this one is white lava. So it's going to be more on the tender side. And I have pulled this up and it has turned to mush. There is still some solid underneath, but the top is mush, so I don't think that's going to come back. But the next one in the line here is burgundy stem, so it's a bit of a hybrid, but what I'll do is pull this one off first because the cloches are crisscrossing. What we've got under that one is your standard Colocasia esculenta, and we can still see plenty of green in them. And in fact, over the last week where it's been warm, it's been pushing out the leaf from the base. So we can say, and I say it every year, straightforward Colocasia esculenta, the standard wild form if you like, or what all your fancy colocasias are bred from. Very, very hardy. I've had these before where I haven't covered them over at all and they've still come back. So yeah, you can see this, each stem is solid and green, and we've got leaf growing. This one is the burgundy stem, the hybrid burgundy stem. And yes, looking a bit mushy on top, but if I go further down, plenty of green in that. In fact, that's wanting to start growing. So just by looking at it you think, oh, that's all shriveled up and dead. Just carefully peel that back and you may well have a new leaf coming from inside. So again, with the burgundy stem, that is tried and tested in my garden. That comes back for me just about every year, and the esculenta definitely does. So there's just 3 in a row there to give an example, and these haven't been getting much sun, as we can see in their position. Let's compare that to the pink china. So I say this every year again. I've got a pond here which obviously needs clean out as a few the watercress has taken over the winter. That needs thinning out, but it does a good job of cleaning the water and purifying it. But yeah, we've got a bog filter here which basically pumps water from the pond through this filter system back into the pond, and this helps to, it's like a filtration system for the pond, but also grows really good colocasias in the summer. So I've done this for the last couple of years. So this is literally just a tub with stones and water, albeit the water level is going to be a couple of inches underneath the stones here. So these rhizomes, pink china, are in contact with water all winter long. They're sitting in water and they are rock solid. This is quite a decent clump now. This has been grown out for the last couple of years, nice and rock solid. If I go inside, I can see there's live tissue in there. So what I will just carefully peel a lot of these back, and as you can see, look at that, there's a leaf. And I've just broke it, but there's green leaf inside that. You see they're starting to push through. So I'll do the rest off camera, but basically when you've got a brown tip like that or shriveled up, you carefully open that up. 9 times out of 10 you can have live tissue in there, and if you're lucky, like this one I've just broke off, you'll have a little leaf and that'll be ready to grow. So again, pink china sitting in water and gravel all winter long and still rock solid, sturdy little plant. Right, so I have gone round, as well as untying the palms, I've uncovered the Musella Lapiocarsa, or let's just call it, I always stumble over the name on that one, let's just call it the golden lotus banana. So this is again sort of one plant which over the last few years has grown into several, and this was literally just had a couple of layers of fleece and a plastic bag over it all winter long, so the fleece was dry underneath the plastic bag. And as we can see, it's been starting to grow. This is a new leaf starting to push out here. The base is firm, that is the biggest one, but we've got several smaller ones which I've been unpeeling as well, and we can see green on them too. There's a really small one here which is still firm, and we've even got a couple come at the back here which have still got green on them and looking firm as well. So I've lost more of these golden lotus bananas digging them up and trying to overwinter them. So I've lost nearly every single time doing that, whereas I leave it in the ground and every single time it's come through for me. So that is what I do for that. And again, we can see over the last week that's been, well, pushing a good 3 inches there, if not more. Right, so we'll finish up on the other hardier bananas, and I will say we've got Musa Bajou here and Musa Signensis, Bengal tiger, the red stripy one, and we did lose a bit of height on some of these. I didn't protect them at all. So the smallest Signensis was probably about 3 foot, and I've cut it back to just over 1 foot now, and I can see live growth there. So we've lost a couple of foot on that one. I weren't really surprised. Not as hardy as Musa Bajou, and totally unprotected, and it's a very small plant. We've got a slightly bigger Musa Signensis here. So this was, again, we've probably lost a good 1.5 foot, maybe even 2 foot on this, but again I've cut it back to a point where I can see live tissue, which is a new leaf coming here. So again, this weren't a huge plant, this was maybe 4.5 foot, it's now about 2.5 foot. Yeah, so if that's bigger, no doubt that'd have been hardier, but yeah, we're not starting from the ground. It's got growth at a couple of foot, so that's good. The Musa Bajou, we actually lost just as much height on a couple of them as we did the Signensis, but again they were a bit skinnier. So I can get right in here, we'll have a closer look. So again, I've cut these back to a point where I can see we've got live tissue and a bit of growth. It's not green growth, but I can see it's been pushing through the dead. Same with this one. Cut it down, we have got a little bit of green growth there, and that one has actually started to push. I can't see the screen, so, but yeah, we can see there's a good 2 or 3 inches of green pushing there. So again, totally unprotected. We've still kept some height, and they should take off nicely now. So there's a quick look at the palms that have been untied. We've done some of the colocasias, all looking good. And this may surprise some people, but along with the colocasias, I leave an Alocasia in the ground as well. Alocasia macrorrhiza, totally unprotected other than a bit of mulch around the base. I can see that is still green, and there's a green nub there waiting to grow. So not only does Colocasia survive a UK winter, Alocasia can as well. This is the hardier sort of wild form of Alocasia macrorrhiza. Yes, the the green growth has died, and I've just done it again, look, pulled a bit of dead off and pulled the live tissue out as well. So yeah, we can see that is ready to grow with a new little leaf. So that is the rhizome, rock solid and ready to grow. We'll finish up. I know I said I was going to finish up the bananas, but I did untie this cordyline here, which is the emerald star. So it's similar to the superstar, which is like a purple one. This is emerald star, so it's got the wide glossier leaves, but this is just an emerald green. And again, this has been tied up for a few months. Just untied it. This has actually took less damage than the superstar. It's looking pretty good, to be fair. A few sort of brown streaks here and there, but again, that'll soon grow out as soon as the plant starts growing properly. So yeah, quite pleased with that. I'll try and get it in the sun for you. But yeah, really good. So yeah, in general, I wouldn't say it's been a mild winter, because it's been an average winter, well, for me anyway, because we do tend to get a little bit more on the milder side here on the east coast. But yeah, so I'm going to say it's an average winter. It's not been a cold winter, it's not been overly mild. Yeah, it's been some mild spells, but we've still had the amount of cold that I would expect for my location over this winter. Another cordyline. I keep saying I'm going to finish up, and then just something reminds me of to just mention this one as well. So this is the cordyline Torbay Dazzler. This is the one that blew over in the wind. So this was laying flat on the ground, so which tells me the root system's not good. In general, they do have a deep tap root, which is like almost as thick as the trunk, and that's either rotted off in a previous winter or got snapped. There's obviously a lot of other roots around it to keep it looking healthy, but what I have done is staked that up, and hopefully that'll get a proper purchase in the ground, and over the next few years grow a better root system. But that is still looking pretty much flawless. Right, yeah, one thing I haven't done yet, which I'll do in a separate video, is we've got the Enset Morellii red banana, so that's not hardy, and we've got it wrapped with bubble wrap. I mean, probably a good 4 or 5 rolls wrapped, layers wrapped around, and a plant pot on top. So I'll do that in a separate video. We'll pull that off and we'll see if we've had any success with that or not. Like I say, I wouldn't expect too much. I've tried it before and they've died every time. It's been a fairly kind winter, so we'll see this time. What I will say is, even though this golden lotus banana has survived, that can be a tricky time of year for these. They need heat to get going, and why this one has grown 2-3 inches of leaf is because it's been under a plastic bag, so it's been warming up during the day quite substantially. So what I've done now is I've obviously pulled everything off and took the fleece out. Like I explained earlier, there was a couple of layers of fleece in there. I took that out. I'm going to put the plastic bag on top, so it's basically like a greenhouse, so it keeps it warm. So what I find is that just gets the growth going a bit quicker, obviously with the heat and a little bit of humidity, and also this stops it from getting too wet if we have a downpour, and also if we do get an unexpected frost, let's say, that will protect it a little bit as well. So yeah, I've still got the plastic bags here, and all I will do is put that plastic bag, I'll do this off camera, but basically I'll have that over the top, and that'll be a mini greenhouse. On a really hot day from out here I'll pull it off, but in general I'm not too worried about humidity because when it's warm, that'll be growing, so humidity is not going to hurt it, and that'll soon cool down overnight, and as long as it's not sort of touching the plant too much, shouldn't be an issue. Right, that really is it. Beautiful weather. We did get up to 16 today. We should get a bit warmer over the next couple of days. We'll see. Like I say, the nights are starting to, well, we're going to be above freezing anyway, so it's getting a bit milder at night, and with days like this, things will really start pushing. Quite an exciting time. Right, we'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.